Well, Brian Powell of I Run Far here with Ashley Erba after a great run at the Lake Sonoma 50 mile.
Thank you.
How'd that feel?
So, overall, I'm very pleased with it. I mean, it didn't all feel like, unicorns and rainbows. But it was fun. I knew it was going to be an experience. I knew I hadn't quite gotten the type of training I was planning to beforehand. So, just to be able to go out there and run the whole thing and getting third, it was awesome. It's been a fun day.
It was your first 50 miler. What was the different experience? How different was the experience from a 50K or 55K? You've run Red Hot Moab.
Yeah, exactly. So it was definitely different. For one thing, I knew I was going to have to take the nutrition and hydration a lot more seriously. Doing the 50Ks I've done so far, I sort of went there. I don't, when I'm running, if I'm racing, I'm not really one who likes to worry about eating and drinking. And in 50K distance, you can kind of do that and then just gut it out the last 5 miles. But when you got 25 miles to the 5 left, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I do think I did a better job with that today than I thought I could have. So that was good. And other than that, it wasn't. I mean, I definitely hit a few lower spots, but it didn't feel like a different world than doing 50Ks. It was.
So you're unusual in that you're 19 running these. I mean, there are more people and they're young 20s or something, but even Jared Hayes out here, I think he's 19 as well.
Yep, we were hanging out last night, and guess what? I got the 19 number instead of him for my age.
Sorry, and he was third as well.
Was he really?
Yeah.
What? We have to go take some pictures after this.
Yeah, what the heck?
Exciting. Is he over there right now?
I don't have to go look for Jared in a minute.
Go look for him.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. So, what brought you to ultra running?
So, long story or the short story?
I want to hear the long story, because I know the short story. Your mom runs ultras, and you've been a runner for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell me the long...
That's typical.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I have always kind of run. Like you said, both my parents are race athletes. In high school, I started to take my running really seriously, because I knew, I was like, okay, I want a full scholarship to run at a D1 school, and I'm going to go race D1 college, cross country and track, 4 years, and then I was like, after that, I'm going to go with professional running, et cetera, et cetera. I had it all worked out. It's going to be great. And so I did work really hard with my running, trained hard, got 2 state championships my junior year, capped off my junior year with a national title in the 5,000 on the track.
16-18?
16-18 is right.
It's pretty solid run.
It was awesome, and I trained all summer for my senior year, and ended up that fall I signed on full scholarship to run at Providence College out in Rhode Island, which I was super pumped about. But going into my senior cross country season, I did something to my foot, and I was like, that doesn't feel great, but I hadn't missed a day of running in years, and I was like, I'm tough. I was like, I can train through it. Yeah. So I kept running on it, did something else to my foot, and I was like, once again, it might be swollen. I don't care. I'm going to keep running. About 6 months later, so I didn't have the best senior cross country season, but about January that year, started having pain in my second toe. Finally got it checked out, got x-rays. They told me I had 3 completely unhealed fractures. And got put in a walking boot. So in the course of a day, I went from never going to miss a day of running to 0 running, a walking boot, and being in a pool every day. And so there went my senior track season. It was gone. And I wasn't handling it very well. So my mom, I was already running ultras at that point. We sort of decided, I just realized I wasn't going to be able to be one of those girls who could go to the track meets and cheer for her teammates when when I felt like I should have run on the track racing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I was a bad teammate, but that was just where I was. And so I knew I needed a distraction, healthy one. So my mom signed up to do the Midwest Super Slam. It's 5 100s between April and September. To do all of them, you're a Midwest Super Slammer. So she signed up for those, and I was going to crew for all of them. So
to give you a little mission or a little something to keep you occupied.
Yeah, just something to do on the weekends. It worked out really well that one of the races happened to be the same weekend as the state meet for Indiana, so didn't have to worry about thinking about that. So, I mean, I'd been at some of her ultras before, and I thought they were pretty cool, but it was really moving to go on these you know, go to these hundreds on the weekends and crew and spend time with people and just get to be with, you know, the ultra community at these races where people really, you know, it was like just such a different feel from the running I was experiencing and, you know, the elite tracks across country world. It was really refreshing. But, you know, I went through stuff. I found out I had another fracture in my foot that required surgery. Got put in a boot again, which put me in a boot from February to June of that year. And I had a really rough recovery from that. You know, basically overdid my physical therapy, managed to get tendonitis, etc. But still went in Providence in the fall with really high aspirations. And had a really disappointing year. Physically, I couldn't seem to shake injuries and stuff, and it was just mentally and emotionally really trying. And I did very well academically, but that's basically because nothing else was going right in my life, so I just poured all of my energy into my schoolwork. So I left the year with a 4.0, but left and at the same time was like, all right, I let it sit for a few weeks, and partway through June I was like, I can't go back. And I've always enjoyed running trails and nature and all of that stuff. And I kind of just threw myself into running on the trails. And spent the summer just doing cool running stuff. My mom and I would travel around and do stuff. You know, went to North Georgia, I'd do some running. Went up north to do some running. And had some friends out in Colorado. And I thought, okay, why not? I'd love to go out there and visit. So originally I just planned to visit for like 2 months. And had signed up for a 50K during that time because my friends were doing it. And I was like, why not?
Why not?
Heck. So came out of Boulder, and I knew I was going to help out and pace at Leadville that year. Done a lot of pacing.
And who were you pacing? Or how
yeah,
did that
so I
happen?
was actually going to pace. I actually paced the last 50 miles of Leadville this fall, or in August, whenever it was. And I paced a friend who lives up in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And it was kind of fun. He was one of the people sort of pushing the time limit cutoff. So I think we left the the 50-mile point, the turnaround, about like maybe 20 minutes, could have been less before the cutoff, and then had to go uphill pass again. So it was definitely like an emotional experience. We ended up making it in like 29:27 under the cutoff, and it was just really fun. But yeah, after being in Boulder for a few weeks, I was like, okay, I'm not going back to Indiana.
Which is where you're from.
Which is where I grew up, and I was like, this is finally somewhere where I feel like I fit. And I mean, I loved the people. You know, they're some of the best people I've met running in Boulder and around the area. And then I raced my first 50K at the UROC event. I raced the 50K and basically totally winged it and had a blast. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this. And I kind of like just push myself, seeing what I can do, and love the people in ultras and jumping on trails, and so it's a really good combination.
So did you run a race in Wisconsin later?
So I did. So I did 50K at UROC in September. In October, I did the Glacial Trail 50K. Okay. In Wisconsin, which was fun. It wasn't. I ran alone most of the race. It's like an hour back, but I knew a lot of people that were doing that, and you won that. I won that. I outright. 3:52 was the first finisher overall, and then took a little break, came back, and raced Moab Red Hot 55K, and that was a blast. Interesting experience. I got lost a couple times.
Lost, or slick rock, don't quite know where to go?
Both. We actually took a wrong turn at like mile 8 and went probably at least 2/3 of a mile extra. Which was good. Gave me a little bit of motivation for that middle section. And then there was several times on slick rock where it was like you stop, you scan, but yeah. I mean that's like
you're not really lost.
I knew that was coming. That was I don't count it as getting lost. No. But yeah, that was so much fun. And I'd never been to Moab before. And so that was cool. And then I had signed up for Sonoma as my first 50-mile. Very low-key event, obviously. Totally. And I mean, nobody even pays attention to this race, right? And so, yeah, I definitely plan on continuing.
No no Western States this year, correct?
Not this year. I mean, it's that race is like on the top of my list of must-do 100s. But I kind of want to, when I do it the first time, I want to be able to really get after it, really race it well. I don't feel like I have quite the base right now to be able to do that without, probably injuring myself or, just not having it feel like I'd want to. But I do want to get out to Western States this year and just maybe get up the pace a little bit, run parts of the course, get a little bit of experience. Nice. And then I'm thinking maybe next year coming back and sort of doing the World Cup Series a little bit more seriously, seeing if I could qualify.
Well, you would have here, or you did here.
Right.
So there's probably a good chance you could do it.
Yeah.
So how do you transition from, like, on the track, like, in high school?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you have to be completely driven to run a 6:18 as a junior year of high school. Like, how do you go from that to, obviously there's more you can run more miles doing ultras, your races are longer. How do you think you can manage, you got hurt a couple times going into your senior year. How can you manage that in ultras?
Part of my injuries my senior year is a combination of a lot of things. But it is part of being so driven to run at that level and that intensity. Like, I'm a very type A person naturally. And so it just got a little bit obsessive. If you look at how much you start looking at stats, how much you start looking at repeats, how much you start looking at time splits, looking at all the recovery things you got to do if you're going to be good. And I think that just, it kind of pushed me over the edge. And one of the things that I love about doing, like, trail running, training for ultras, is that it was like, it's the summer, and this year it's like the first time, like, I don't have a schedule. I know a lot of the top ultra runners do have schedules and do that, but I'm not there yet. I kind of needed just to push away everything from before and just be like, all right, what? So, there's certainly things with, little inner things you always have to deal with. I think especially doing more mileage and longer races, bigger adventures. But there's less of a time crunch with them, it's like, if you're racing in high school or college, you're racing every weekend. So
if not twice a week,
you can't be hurt, you can't have anything wrong. You can't cross-train, you can't miss that workout because it'll screw up your whole season, God forbid.
If you're not feeling it now, like, if you want to do a long run on Wednesday and you don't feel it, you go out on Wednesday.
I'm like, so, okay, something feels a little bit tweaky, like, either I can go on and do it and just do it slower, or I can cross-train that day, or I can go for a hike. And it's not going to significantly take away from, I'm not going to be any worse off in my next 50K 50 mile because I didn't do a tempo run today, nobody cares. And so I think that's a big part of it, just start to relax a little bit. And
now, how much of that is, okay, I believe your father was a pretty driven triathlete.
Yes.
Does he still have the Vineman record?
He does. He does. I posted that picture on Instagram. He still has it. 850.
So your dad was probably a type A driven triathlete.
Yeah.
And your mom does, like, Super Slam, Midwest Super Slam, like.
So they're like, finish your question.
No, so, like, does maybe switching from what seems perhaps to be your dad's drivenness to maybe your mom's, like, in ultras, it's just a different approach. Is there any of that going on? Or do you still see that?
My dad and I still think a lot more along the same lines in our racing and our training. Like, if both of us, like, if we're going to do an event, we're not going to do an event unless we're really going to go out there and go for it. And, as far as our training and how we view our running, our athletic pursuits, is very similar, which has been a great bonding thing over the years for us. It's been really good. And, I definitely have similarities with my mom as well, but she takes her racing and her events in a much different way than I do. So in some ways it's similar because I guess I'm doing, like, the events and the stuff that she does, and I'm stuff like that. But I'm definitely still on the other side.
So how are you going to limit, not limit that, but check that or control that?
So I think part of that is just coming from what I went through the past few years. and being like, that's never going to happen. Like, I don't want that to ever happen again.
Okay.
So
just that experience.
So I think that'll help me, like, okay, put it in perspective and relax a bit.
Do you have any more races lined up for this?
So actually, not currently. I kept getting asked that during today's race. I'm not actually like signed up for anything yet. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna do more races this year. Like, that's not a question. I just didn't know what I want to do, and so I kind of was signed up like a race at a time, and then they're like, okay, I'll see what comes after that, because I wanted to leave it like open for opportunities, sort of see what comes up. So I'm gonna do definitely a lot of like mountain adventuring this summer. A lot of 14ers.
So you'll stay in Colorado.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of 14ers, a lot of that kind of thing. I have a few hundreds I'm lined up to pace. Pacing like one in June for sure. My mom's running the Bear 100.
Awesome race.
Which I've heard is fantastic. So
totally fantastic.
Crewing and pacing her at that, which I'm very excited about.
Keep her on course.
Exactly. I've heard you can get lost.
Been there, done that last year.
Yikes. But yeah, I don't have any events I'm signed up for yet, but I definitely will.
Okay. So we'll see you out in the course soon.
You're definitely seeing me racing again. I just can't I can't not, like, get out and run these races.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on a great race today, and I look forward to seeing you out on the trail some more.
Absolutely.